It's expensive to be mad.
Wait, how did I go?
Oh, I didn't say on the boat, but Sutton is like, I can't believe, like, Kyle's like, I gotta find some music to play. Like, I gotta find my jam. And she picks that song, and they're all dancing and like twerking.
Yeah.
And stuff. And Sutton was like, I don't think this is a good idea.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, yeah, she's totally right. It's not a good idea.
Yeah. Well, it is expensive. She has one of
exactly.
fees.
But like, it's expensive to fight my court case.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hi, this is Caitlin.
And this is Sharon.
And welcome to Real Housewives on Real Housewives, where we unravel housewives' story threads and keep the tea flowing.
So chic.
Hold on to your diamonds. It's Friday the 13th.
This is January 13th, 2023, and this is episode 3, where we are digging into Erika Jayne Girardi from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 12.
Our skirmishes this week include Erika versus the law, Erika versus Lexapro, Erika versus the earrings, and Erika versus the court of public opinion.
But first, we'd like to give a shout out to our 36 listeners. And so I don't think we have 36 relatives.
No, I don't think so.
Someone we're not related to actually listen to us.
They get a teeny tiny extra shout out because that's really cool.
Yeah. So
no, we were just so excited. Like we've been watching our numbers and it was fun. Yeah. It's fun.
If anyone listens
Thank you guys.
No one else listens to us in our houses.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, this came as a shock to us that people would listen to us.
First the news, Diana confirmed that she's not coming back to Beverly Hills because she's going to focus on her pregnancy.
That makes sense. I think it's a good way to bow out.
I think so.
But it does seem like they're dropping like flies because first Rinna, then Diana. So any bets on who goes next? Although with so many people gone, I think it's probably not who goes next, but who's demoted to friend of a housewife. Okay, we agreed we haven't told each other. Yeah. And we're going to count to 3 and we're just going to say who we think is going to be demoted.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready? 1, 2, 3.
Crystal.
There's a tiny part of me that thinks it could be Dorit, but I'm hoping that Dorit's past stuff will get her through. Like, I think she's so crucial, even though she didn't have a season with a lot of big skirmishes.
She's Barbie glam.
But she is. She brings it. I think they have to. But I do feel like Crystal might be demoted. Yeah.
Well,
all right. Well, since we don't disagree, I guess neither of us has to buy a neuro drink for the for the winner. All right. So, what are our thoughts on Erika this season?
Well, I think you liked her more. So, do you want to go first?
I did. Yeah. When she first came in, I really liked her. Like, I thought she was risque. I thought she was a breath of fresh air. Like, she was just very different. Like, she is very different in how she dresses. She's very over the top. And she was just a very different housewife from the beginning. So I think I'm judging her on previously having liked her, which gives her a little more credit coming into the season where she does not look so good. I also think it will be really interesting next season to see Erika without Rinna because they were tied at the hip this season. So it'll be interesting to see who Rinna goes. I mean, not who Rinna, but who Erika goes back to without Rinna. Yeah.
So initially, whenever I first watched the show, which was like a few seasons in, I did not care for Erika, but I knew Caitlin liked her. So I tried to like her and she kind of grew on me. And then this season, I just didn't like her again. So I drew this little brainstorming thing where I wrote Erika in the center of a page. And then I tried to write words about her. And I ended up with obnoxious, full of herself, thinks she's a bad, bold, aggressive, can be fun, selfish, used to have a really nice closet, and interesting. And so, yeah, I think
we should do like name poems each week. Like, you know, how like you did when you were a kid.
She's just not my cup of tea, although I could see why someone might find her fun to hang out with, but I wouldn't trust her to not turn on me as a friend.
Mm-hmm. I think when she came in, she really kind of brought like the party into the show a little bit. But then this season, she kind of took the party out of the show.
Yeah, so it got real.
It did get real. So Erika's tagline this season is, I have nothing to hide and nothing to lose, and that makes me dangerous. And you're totally right about aggressive. Even reading that, I thought I have to be aggressive when I say it, and she's very aggressive. She is Erika Jayne Girardi, but she goes by Erika Jayne professionally. Like, I guess she was in a couple films before Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Her debut single was called Roller Coaster, which I actually hadn't listened to. I knew her more from the songs Pretty Mess and Expensive. But her debut single reached #1 on the Billboard Hot Dance Club Play chart.
Which makes me wonder, how many Billboard charts are there? Because I feel like every song I've ever heard of, they're like, it reached #1 on this chart. And I'm like, but I've never heard of it. There must be like,
I don't know.
150
Well,
charts.
it reminds me of, like, have you ever noticed Amazon book categories? Like, they get really specific. It's like #1 children's book of caterpillars who are really hungry this week. And you're like, oh, wow. And then you're like, wait, that's super specific. I feel maybe Erica was like, dude, I need to be first. Yeah. But that was back in 2007.
Yeah. And then she met Tom. We could talk about, because I like meeting husbands.
Yes.
She met Tom when she was a cocktail waitress. He was a regular there, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
She was divorced, had a son. She's 27. He's 60. So yeah, they got together, got married in 1999, and they actually got married in the restaurant where they met, which is
really
cute. Tom is a famous lawyer because, and this is crazy to me because I didn't know this until like way after I'd been watching her. He's the lawyer that inspired the Erin Brockovich movie.
Mm-hmm. I remember seeing that movie back when you got like the little paper ticket and it would say like Erin Brocka, because then, they couldn't fit the whole name on the ticket.
So what really makes this hard for me is like, I'm like, he can't be a bad guy because Erin Brockovich, like the movie.
He saved Julia Roberts. I mean, not really, but.
Exactly. I mean, he helped.
Yeah.
So.
He founded the law firm Girardi and Keese, but I said it wrong because Erica kept saying Keys, Girardi and Keys. So we'll try to remember to say that the correct way.
And who is Keese?
Yeah. And where is he in this whole mess? Like, we're hearing about Tom.
Yeah.
So Keys must have retired years ago, maybe
dead or something.
Yeah, or
well, I guess I should look.
Or he doesn't have a famous wife. He's even better at hiding than she is. All right, our first fight is Erica versus the law. So, I guess disclaimer: we're by no means anywhere like remotely adjacent to the law. So we're going to try to offer some background information here. Mostly shout out to the Vanity Fair article by Chris Murphy because that really helped me put all this kind of in order. I felt like I was very confused about all of what has happened with Erica and the law and Tom and the law. But, my closest law was doing a mock trial and like you and the law in 8th grade. So that's about the background that we bring to this information. That's our knowledge area. So Tom and Erica announced their separation. And then shortly after, it was alleged that Tom was able to like live the high life with Erica by misappropriating client money. And he did this from relatives of a plane crash, Lion Air Flight 610. That was the big case, along with some other clients. There were allegations that Tom transferred $20 million to Erica's company, EJ Global, at which point Erica was pulled into the legal issues.
Yeah. And so one of the big things you'll read about is how she has an American Express bill over time of over $14 million. Which I just want to know, like, what was the minimum payment? I don't know.
I'd love to know. Like, I can't even imagine. Oh my gosh, can you imagine the interest on that? That's
get
crazy.
Those bills paid.
She better. But she can't because then Tom's law firm files bankruptcy. Her assets and his assets are frozen, which kind of pushes her into having to figure out ways to make money on her own. So she'll open her hair extension company, Pretty Mess Hair, named after the song, not after messy hair. Then Tom is placed under a temporary conservatorship under his brother due to short-term memory issues.
Yeah, and he moves into like a memory care home or nursing home. He's disbarred. And then Erica, okay, this is where it gets really crazy, and I don't even know how to explain this timeline. Erica reveals that many different things happened.
Yeah.
And it is best summarized by the birthday card Caitlin gave to me. It says, "I'm sorry for this. Card is late, ... Tom's house was broken into." That's the front. So super confused. He confronted the burglar and then had to go have eye surgery. And then my son had to go over and help. And then my son, he rolled his car 5 times on the way home. But what the card doesn't mention is that he rolled his car because it was snowing, which
that threw the Californians off.
That's where the Californians are like, what?
She mentioned that in, I think it was last season, but it was another example of like, what? Like, what is going on in that house? Yeah. What's going on in the Sprinter van at her house? Like, we just don't know. And it's frustrating because
there was the whole thing about, so supposedly he hit his head during the car accident. I think that's separate from the burglary. I think the burglary was like they stole maybe their stuff.
Yeah.
So maybe that's like
I think initially she was like, so I'm under a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Like she was, which, that is a lot of stress. We now say that kind of to each other when we're like running late. Like, I'm so sorry I said I would text you, but my house got broken into and I rolled my car and I had to have eye surgery. But it just sort of, I think it shows the confusion of this case to some extent. And Erika has denied any involvement or knowledge on the show. She basically kind of says her husband kept her away from the finances. There's a point this season when she says to Sutton, and it's kind of an interesting question, does a doctor's wife feel responsibility for his patients? Which is interesting.
I have thoughts about that.
Yeah, me too. Continue. Well, let's discuss that. Bravo was subpoenaed to turn in footage of Erika, which they did, which I thought was interesting. Also, can you imagine that job? You get to go through all the raw footage of the Housewives just looking for anything on Erika.
I would love that job.
It's an amazing job. And then in August 31st of 2022, Erika posts a screenshot to her Instagram of a Page 6 article that says, Erika Jayne scores win in $5 million fraud lawsuit. Court finds no evidence of wrongdoing. And then she wrote underneath it, thank you to my friends that have stood beside me. All I asked for was time and understanding.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So one thing that irritates me about all this stuff is I have this huge pet peeve when you ask people direct questions and they just won't answer you. And what this seemed the most to me was like, my daughter got in trouble in art class for talking. And I was like, were you allowed to talk? Well, everyone was talking. Was everyone allowed to talk? Well, we were all talking together. Were you the loudest? Well, it's like one of those things. So everyone is innocent until proven guilty, but what do you think she knew? And should a doctor's wife feel responsibility for his patients?
Yeah, this is a tricky one for me.
Okay, I think that the doctor and the patient thing is
unrelated.
Because the doctor, unless he's taking the heart out of his patient and putting it into the wife, his own wife, it like really...
Or doing it on their dining room table.
Yeah, exactly. Like it really doesn't actually make sense when you think about it.
Yeah. I agree. So I think you're right. Again, she's lived with a lawyer. Like, I do think she is good at throwing out defensive questions. So that is one of them, I think. I guess I feel like she didn't care to know. I think that's the way I'm going to say it. I think she was happy to have the money. I think she was happy to live the high life. She was busy with her career of being Erika Jayne, the singer. I think there was a point too, because you kind of see it on the show. It seems like their interactions together are kind of forced. I think they were kind of leading separate lives. I am not sure that there was much except for, here's your money and you do you and I'll do me. I mean, when she did Chicago on Broadway, she was Roxy Hart, and Tom didn't even come see her. He was supposed to see her on the very last performance, and then COVID hit and he didn't get to. But again,
he rolled his car.
I'm sorry, you're right. I forgot about
that.
But it's like I don't think they were in the same spheres at that point.
Yeah, but see, okay. So I feel like, so you're basically saying kind of like,
she chose
he just
not
gave
to
her
know.
Money. She chose not to know. He gave her money, and she's like, hey,
she didn't care where it came from necessarily.
So initially I was really harsh on her, and then I kind of went like your opinion where, hey, I'm just getting this money. And then now I'm back to being really harsh on her.
Yeah.
Because, okay, here's what I was thinking. If you're just a wife, someone who makes more money than you perhaps. Don't you ever wonder how much money your husband makes?
Yeah.
She didn't wonder how much he made?
That is interesting.
Like, she wasn't like, oh, geez, how much did you make on this lawsuit and how many lawsuits a year?
Right.
Like that.
Because, when you're filling out like your Amex card, application, you have to check a salary range. Yeah. So if it went up suddenly, or if you're like, the amount I'm spending doesn't match the amount of the salary, that's a good point.
Okay,
but she's not doing her own taxes.
But that's the
she's
other
not
thing.
On TurboTax.
Did she not think about her business to any degree of how much do I spend as a business? No. How much do I spend to be Erika Jayne?
Remember
how
her
much
closet?
Do I earn being Erika Jayne? Even if I know that I'm spending $1 million and I'm only earning $1,000, I still kind of want to know that information. She never even thought about that.
No, it's expensive to be me.
So, I mean, I guess even just anyone would just be curious if they were close to being profitable.
I also think to some extent that she thought they were untouchable. She's married to this super aggressive in a way lawyer who wins his cases. He's like well known, you know, he's not just some attorney starting out in the world. Like I think she really thought if anything came up, he would argue it. They would fix it.
Yeah, I guess because he's won other stuff. But it's like he's a lawyer. He's not a movie star. Right? How many lawyers do you know that have $14 million Amex bills?
I mean, I think what's hard with Erika this season is that she's been told not to say much, but probably by her lawyers, I'm sure. But people keep asking her the questions over and over. And so then she really does have bad looks in how she responds.
Yeah.
She starts the season mad at Sutton, but her first real altercation is with Lexapro. So Lexapro is for, you know, anxiety and depression. So we're going to hit first into Erika versus Lexapro, or I subtitled it, I'm so lit. Because she said that many times. But I was excited because I take Lexapro and I was like, oh my goodness, I finally have something that a rich person also owns. And I was really excited. And then I was like, oh, I take the generic. And you know, she takes the real version. She's washing it down with reverse osmosis beverages. And I'm at home taking my, you know, $10
with tap
prescription
water.
with tap water. Probably warm because I didn't wait for it to cool down. So I guess I'm not like the rich and famous after all. That was a little disappointing.
She blames a lot of this season's drunken antics on her mixture of her of her medication and the alcohol, which the best example is Caitlin's favorite episode, Ship Face.
Yes. SHIP, just to be clear. And, you know, I haven't mixed alcohol with Lexapro much, so I can't really give a good answer on that. I guess what we should have done is
we should have.
Somebody get me a martini while we record this, and we'll see if I get as like belligerent as Eric.
Get some Casa del Sol over here.
Exactly. Well, but I love that boat episode. She gets so hammered. I mean, and we really haven't seen her lose it this much before. So I think there's some truth to the fact that the drugs and the alcohol do not mix. She says, like, before she gets on the boat that she took, like, 2 antidepressants and part of a Xanax. And my favorite is Kyle's like, Erika's knocked out cold. Diana's been stung by a jellyfish. And it's still one of our better boat rides. I feel like that's something we'd say. Like, only 3 kids cried and only 2 of them threw up. So really it was one of our better trips to see the reindeer, you know?
Oh, tell her. Then she goes on about how they had a boat. And
I love it. Yes.
It was called the Illegal.
Yes, like ILLEAGLE, like legal.
Oh, God.
And the illegal,
like,
she says.
Super cringy.
And she's like, it's what they call a yacht fisher. And we used to fish from it. And then she trips getting on the boat. I mean, she's she's out of it.
So I guess what surprises me is the other women, like, especially Kyle. They tend to excuse her behavior at first, like her drunken behavior. Oh, she's mixing her meds with alcohol, and I mean,
We kind of noticed at one point. It's like, oh, they have defended her a lot about it, and you're kind of like, you know, maybe step in. There is a point where Rinna steps in and is essentially like, you've got to cut this out, and Erika's like, thank you for pointing that out, because she keeps saying like, I blacked out, I hit my head on a table. I mean. These aren't just like little silly moments where she got like a little extra drunk. I mean, she got like blackout drunk at a lot of the other parties, not so much this one. But like at this one, she gets herself tanner all over the couch on the boat. And we've watched Below Deck. That makes the crew mad. Yeah. So she'll have to pay for it. And again, her assets are frozen. And she has a huge Amex bill. So,
I mean...
So I think while most of the women think she's lighter and more fun, Garcelle would disagree. So at Garcelle's birthday party, she insults all 3 of her children.
Yes. So I think in the beginning or some point in the party, so Erika has drank some. She asked Garcelle where her hot son is. So basically it's Oliver is Garcelle's oldest son, and Erika tells Oliver is hot and it's super awkward, and she suggests a threesome. I don't even know who she suggested it with.
I think with the woman he's married to.
Oh, that's even worse.
So he's older. Well, I think she thought she was being like polite. Like, oh, you'll bring your wife. Yeah. That'll be great.
Just bring your wife.
Like, it's not a dinner party.
Garcelle's 14-year-old son, Jax, is there, and Erika tells him to get the beep out of here. And the poor kid was like trying to bring flowers or something, and he just looked, like embarrassed and yeah, if one of my parents friends told me that, I would be like mortified.
Though, because he goes right over to his mom and says, like, she said this to me and it made me uncomfortable. And I thought, good for you. Like, I, as a kid, would have been like, I'm so sorry. Okay. And then I just wouldn't have said another word about it. And I would have just felt awful. I was like, good for him for telling his mom this made me uncomfortable. And I didn't like it. Like, bravo, Jax.
Because then she could set Erika straight a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when she went, she told her, like, I get it. Let your hair down. Have a good time. But this doesn't feel like that. She said, this feels like take a moment, reassess your life. What's happening? Where you're going? This is not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay.
And then she has the best line. This is Garcelle's line at the Rena beauty party. Do you want to say it, Kayla?
Sure. She says, Erika, I don't have to make you look bad. You can do that on your own. I love that line. I mean, I'm sorry, but Garcelle is our current queen of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She is the voice of reason. She slays in everything she wears. Like, I love her. I worship at the throne of Garcelle.
Yeah. So who wins there?
I think the Lexapro wins.
Yeah. Well, does it?
I feel like we're like a commercial for Lexapro now. Like, if you need Lexapro, please consult your doctor.
But
side effects include
it won, but then it gets a bad reputation because
that's true.
She's sort of trash talk like, oh, the Lexapro.
I mean, and I guess if we're saying Garcelle is a little part of this, obviously Garcelle wins because Erika does not have a leg to stand on, literally and metaphorically. I mean, at that party, she had her leg up over her head.
Yeah, that was embarrassing.
Okay, so up next, we're going to merge these two fights together, but we have Erika versus the earrings and Erika versus the court of public opinion. So a big topic this season was Earringgate. It first came up on Garcelle's show, The Real. She filmed an episode where she talked about it with the other women. The women on her show were essentially like, if you can help the victims, why wouldn't you? And Garcelle's like, yeah, why wouldn't you say, like, I want to pay the victims? Like, I think it's a bad look to say otherwise. And so when they get to the dinner in Aspen, Garcelle's already filmed this. She and Crystal have talked about it. And I think the earrings had made it out into the news at that point. There was discussion going around. And so Garcelle essentially asks Erika, what does $750,000 earrings look like? And Erika's like, well, actually, they're $1.3 million. Oh, okay. Well, that makes it better.
Why would you say that?
Why would you say that? Even I feel like that was like, oops.
Yeah.
And she's like, Garcelle's like, do you have them? And Erika's like, I'll show you tomorrow. And basically they go back and forth. Garcelle is like, well, you know, wouldn't you just give them away? And then Erika's like, well, if a judge tells me that I should give them away, I'll give them away. She's like, I need to uphold the law. I want to do what's right under the letter of the law. And then Garcelle's like, but why do you need a judge? Just give it up. Do the right thing. And Garcelle's like, well, am I the one? I'm not Garcelle. Sorry. Erika is like, but Garcelle, I'm not the one who represented them. Like, I'm not the one who signed the checks. And so Garcelle's essentially like, she just kind of gives up. Like, I can't argue this with her. And she says, well, I guess I won't be giving her a heads up about what I said on The Real.
Yeah. And the other ladies were kind of with Garcelle. Crystal said she wouldn't want the earrings.
Yeah.
Diana. But then, Diana said the other women shouldn't just rag on Erika. Yeah. They should donate to the victims themselves.
She was like, take out your own earrings. Yeah. Like, it was interesting.
That was an interesting thought. And then, so Garcelle was basically saying, like, you're afraid to, if you're compassionate, you'll look guilty, which it does seem she was doing that, but I don't think anyone would read it that way if she was compassionate.
I don't know. I actually, that I disagree on. I think they would. Like, I feel like her lawyers may have said, like, you aren't allowed to do anything that makes you look guilty. And so she's really trying to be very careful in how she acts. They're walking around in Aspen, and I guess Erika's wearing the earrings. And like, Erika's like, well, why wouldn't I wear my earrings? And so if anyone needs a birthday gift idea coming up, I don't know if our husbands are listening, but Erika did turn the earrings over. A judge ruled that they were bought with stolen funds and they will be auctioned off. Apparently the last appraisal of the diamonds was in 2004. So the auction house kind of thinks the starting bid will be lower than what Tom paid for them. And I think that's where there was this confusion about, did she turn over the wrong earrings? Why are they worth less than what she's saying, the $750,000? And, the article that I read kind of gave the impression that Erika sort of made up the amount, like the secondary appraisal, that 1.3, that she was like, oh, they've appreciated in value. So she, that's the number that she came up with. It sounded like there wasn't any factual basis on that. Like she didn't have a...
It's so weird because on one hand, I'm like, well, she's had this stuff for years and it's hers. But then if it were just again, if it were my next door neighbors and the husband embezzled money or something, I'd probably be like, she'd have to give all her jewelry back and stuff. Just because it's part of Erika Jayne and who she is, you almost feel like she shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Because who is Erika Jayne without
that is a good point.
$750,000 earrings?
Would you give the earrings back?
I would, yes. At least as I would feel bad, and at least maybe I could make something right with it. I would. They're just earrings.
Yeah, that's true. Ultimately, you're right. It's just property. I mean, I'm a huge law abider, so obviously the second anybody was like, this could be illegal, I'd be ripping them out of my ears and throwing them at someone. But I also think, to Erika's credit, I mean, she's had these for a long time. We don't know what her lawyers are saying to her, what they're advising to her. I'm not saying she shouldn't give them back, but I do firmly think that she sees turning them over as guilt. Like, maybe it's not a right or a wrong thing, but she is the face of this legal case.
Yeah.
It's like Tom is not. He's in this memory care facility, and he should be who they're targeting this on, but he is not being chased down by the paparazzi. Like she is. She is the face of this whole lawsuit, and that's not 100% fair because she is not employed by Girardi Keys. I think I said it right. The other interesting thing is, like, when you think about the timeline, and this hit me last night, she said that she's had the earrings for like 15 years. Well, the Lion Air flight happened when it went down was in 2018. So the legal of that was probably like 2019.
But wasn't there lots of them?
But she had the earrings. It wasn't purchased without Lion Air money.
Oh.
So when everyone's drawing that direct connection, I'm not saying it wasn't other people that he embezzled from. Like, I'm not saying that makes it better.
Yeah, I know.
But I felt like there was a lot of connection between those exact earrings and those exact victims.
Yeah, I
you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying that.
But she could sell those earrings and give that money to those specific victims, to the people from the Lion Air crash. So
it's like she can use that to make amends, right? Yes. And that's what's important.
Like, here's part of the money.
Yes. We're going to attempt a dramatic reading to sort of paint a picture again for you of what went down that night with Erika. So this was after Kathy tried to get everybody to try her tequila, and that was no bueno. It didn't work, as Kathy said in her text. So let's try to get yourself in the space of Erika.
All right.
I'll be everyone else.
So I'm going to be Erika.
Yes. And I will be the other people.
Well, I'm not going to do anything that is not required of me under the law.
Pause. Tense music. Crystal, is there something you might want to do outside of the law?
No, absolutely not.
Then we're jumping ahead in the conversation. But Crystal says, I would give it up.
Why? Because you could look good?
Garcelle, I would feel compassion for other people.
Why don't you think that I feel compassion? Because I haven't fought it out yet?
Garcelle, no. I think you don't have the compassion because you don't want the compassion to seem like you're guilty.
I'm not guilty.
Garcelle, I'm not saying you are. But if you do that, it might look like you were.
No, I'm not guilty. That's why I fight as hard as I do.
Crystal, it's about trying to make people whole. That's all.
There's a place to make people whole in the court of law, not in the court of public opinion.
Crystal, we're not talking about public opinion.
Yeah, you are.
I liked that. I felt that.
Thanks. You're not letting the legal process play out. And then later in an interview, Erika says, like, I understand that people have passed away and I feel terrible about that. We need to find out what did or did not happen to their settlement money. And she also references potential victims. And like Garcelle says potential victims, and Erika says, because who know if they're true or not. So she really goes back and forth kind of doubting if there is even a case against her.
Garcelle in an interview says like that her refusing to give back anything is beyond her. And Erika says, like, because someone said something does not make it true. And then she says, like, her big line that causes, like, the whole party to stop for a second. Shall I do it or do you want to do it?
I'll do it.
Okay.
She says, I don't give a beep about anyone else but me.
And then Kyle kind of to the side is sort of like, let's have some sensitivity for the victims. And I kind of liked what Kyle said. She essentially was like, I would have said, I am so sorry for the victims. But, please have some patience and let the process play out. And I'm like, okay, why didn't you hand that line to Erika? There we go, Kyle. That's the answer.
Well, Erika also said, the only person you should be concerned about is me.
Yeah.
And it's just so bad. Yeah, well, I could have come up with something better to say.
Oh, absolutely. And Kyle essentially is like, don't say that. I mean, she's kind of like high. And she's like, don't say that because you're my friend and I can't defend that. And no, you can't defend.
Yeah.
Rinna essentially gets Erika out of there, which again shows how much Rinna and Erika are tied at the hip this season. And it's interesting to me because boy, does Rinna get Erika out of there as Erika's going like, these are not my problems and not my victims. And I've been a wife that's left in ruins. She's like yelling stuff. It's like Rinna's like comic, like pulling her out to the car, probably a Sprinter van. And I wonder what she said in there. But it's interesting because she protects Erika so much here. And then later with Kathy, she's like, I don't have your back at all. Hold on. Wait, could you slow down in your diatribe? Because I'm trying to copy it all down into my notes.
That is interesting because we know Erika said ugly stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And
she said it on camera.
So she probably didn't just stop. I'm imagining she said worse things with Rinna, and Rinna's okay with that. So,
and what's interesting? The wheels are turning in my head. But initially I kept thinking, okay, like the Kathy thing to throw everybody off of Erika. It's like, but the Erika thing was so much earlier in the season and stuff. But when you're thinking about this is in Aspen. This is like the night before, I think, the whole issue with Kathy. Oh. So when you think about it, and I read an interview where Erika had not seen the footage yet, like the season hadn't aired. And she said, I know I said some things in Aspen that are not my best look. And if there was any part of the season I could take back, it would be that. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure this was what she was referencing. So you do have to wonder if she and Rinna in the Sprinter van are going, that was a bad look for you.
But she was so drunk.
And then Rinna took the opportunity when she was with Kathy to go, this is worse. What she said's worse.
Oh, I see. They're like, okay, last night was bad. Mm-hmm. We got to make this happen.
Yeah. And I mean, not even like super, like dark planned way. Right. But I do feel like
let's play
Rinna saw that point and she was like, dude, she's going off and I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, take the heat off her. Yeah. I agree.
So I guess who wins in that? Erika versus the court of public opinion.
Public opinion.
I agree with you. Because again, like if we're sitting here and I'm going, well, maybe this is what she means. And you're like, that's not what's shown. And you're right. Yeah. That's not what I saw the first time either. It's like bad looks across the board. So whether Erika's right or wrong, it doesn't matter. The court of public opinion has spoken and she's wrong. Yes.
But
there is a crystal of the group.
She says that's not what matters. But we still think the court of public opinion
does matter. I mean, the show that she's on, whether Housewives come back or not, is based on public opinion. I mean, you think she would.
That's a good point.
I think she'd be the first person to understand that. Who wins in Erika versus the Diamonds?
The Diamonds.
Because they're so pretty.
I know. But I feel bad because they've devalued so much. But they kind of lost. They did technically lose.
But I think like the auction house was saying, they're really hoping that the fact that there is all of this drama tied to them is really good. I mean, and you could look at it that way. Erika didn't do the right thing, but she put these things on a stage that when they go up for auction, people are like, I want this piece of Housewives history.
Aren't Housewives fans like me and you? Like, we can't afford
No, and honestly, I'm a little grossed out in general of wearing someone else's earrings. So yeah, I guess essentially Erika does not come out of the season looking great. No. I'm really excited to see her next season though. I think she is going to have to change a lot of how she acted this season to be let back into the group that she kind of pushed herself out of this season. Yeah. And maybe her doctors have seen this footage and they will adjust her meds accordingly.
Yes, they'll be like, please do not drink on this medication. So you think she's coming back, definitely?
Oh, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean too, but I don't know. She can't change that much because it'll look way too fake.
Yes, absolutely.
She just has to soften, I guess.
Exactly. I just think she'll have to kind of change how she plays the game. And that will be interesting.
But this isn't supposed to be a game. This is supposed to be a true representation
of
their lives. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to peek behind the curtain.
Yeah. Bravo, bravo, bravo.
Bravo, bravo, bravo. Plus, we don't talk about Erika. Yeah. So I guess like Rinna getting Erika out of that party before she made herself sound worse, we should do the same.
Definitely.
We're cutting and running, people. Bye. See you next week.
Bye. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed our episode, please subscribe. And if you'd like to help support us, please share this podcast with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and a review. Thanks again, and remember to stay out of the shade.